being peaceful is not something that someone else can give you. It means that you stop the battle going on in the mind. It means you stop the fight. What you could have said, should have said, what you will say, what they said. Are you going to let them get away with this? I mean, on and on, this mind. And we have divine mind. And that divine mind is a state of knowing. And I call that the Bliss Zone. In my book, Live Your Bliss, I talk about that it's important to get above the duality, like, dislike, I'm right, you're wrong, hot, cold, all of that sort of thing, because then you can witness and you're not jerked around. And to me, it's so great this morning, getting up really early and it's quiet, driving up the road here to get to the lake. No wind, quiet. You could listen. And peace of mind means that the mind isn't jerking you around. So you want to listen to yourself, your heart, your inner knowing, and to get out into nature as much as possible, however that may be, even if you have some plants on your balcony and that's where you tune in to nature. And just like now, it's quiet, but there's a little waterfall. Little birds are waking up. It's like a music. It's peaceful. And what is it that keeps people from sleeping at night is their mind. And they don't know how to stop it. And it's that sense. I was listening to somebody on this internet that I like, a program, and one was saying how her mind just keeps going. And what happens is it's a practice that you have to work at, is to control that mind instead of letting the mind control you. When I do seminars or workshops and even my retreats, one of the processes that I do, which is really important, is using the breath to bring you to a state of inner peace. And that the breath, there are many different breath exercises, but when a person's afraid, they'll either breathe fast or they don't breathe at all. They're going to hide and be quiet. And the breath is so important for the oxygen as well, because it's that oxygen is that produces the fire, causes of the energy, the vitality, the electricity that we emanate. And when we're using our oxygen and energy on these just mundane thoughts that go through all the time, and we're letting it take us there, but we haven't learned the art of how to quiet the mind, and to also realize you cannot believe the mind, because the mind's very easily programmed in so many ways that we're taught to accept, to believe things. And the mind, so one of the keys is to really watch your mind, listen to it, watch it, and see where does it go. And when there's a thought that comes and it's going into the past of old dialogue, or it's going into the future of how you're going to say it now and what you're going to do, and all of that takes you completely out of the power point or the power place of you being in your heart, so to speak, but you being now. And when we're in nature, because nature is in the now. One of the reasons we like our puppies and kitties and these pets so much in a way is that they're always right there. And they always love you. And cats, maybe dogs, they'll teach you a little lesson. Maybe, they gotta do that. Maybe pretend that they're mad at you or something like that. But it goes away very fast, and they're right there, appreciating you again and loving you. And if we would stop that chatter of the mind, in a sense, by believing it and letting us to control us, and how we do it is step by step of getting a higher taste and realizing that most of us are just playing with the mind. We're not really being in ourselves and being in nature and even being with other people, other beings. We're thinking, analyzing, figuring out, criticizing, judging, blah, blah, blah. That's the mind. I was, one of my favorite people to do documentaries is Dr. Carmen Bolter, and she did really nice ones on the Pyramid Code and such. And saying that in her study, she's found that there was an Egyptian culture where everyone was left-handed, which activates the right brain. Just like the left brain is activated also with the right hand, because it crosses at the neck from the left to go to the right. And the sense of being in the left brain predominantly is, in a sense, closing off the right brain. And I don't mean right or wrong. I'm not talking about that we call it right or left. But see, even those words make us think, well, one's good, one's bad. So that would be thinking that your left hand then was bad, or the left side, and the other side is the right side. But anyway, so it was saying it was more of a feminine culture, and it didn't mean the feminine was superior or better. And another teacher I always liked was Dr. Ernest Holmes in Science of Mind, and of course the Unity people, and giving some really wonderful teachings of we called it the metaphysical teachings of Jesus and other great teachers and people out there. And that it was, in that sense, saying that thoughts make things. And to understand the power of our own thoughts and our thinking. But then we were trying to solve our problems through thinking, but thinking doesn't solve problems. Like, I don't have problems because I don't use my mind to solve a problem. What appears to be is that when I go to my heart and I ask for that which is the highest good for all and the highest benefit for all, and to work that out and let me know at the right time and in the right way what I'm to say or to do or what's appropriate, I don't have to worry about it. And what is the mind? It's worrying. It's thinking about how to prevent future failure. And that is what keeps people divided and keeps us separate from ourselves. And like I've said before, that's the battle of Armageddon that's going on in the mind. It's the fight. And it's the fighting, it's the battle. And who are we fighting? We're fighting ourselves, because there's a deep level of self-hatred passed on generation to generation and perpetrated and continuing as if there's something wrong with human beings. There's nothing wrong with a human being who's being a human, who's being divine. And when we're in our right mind, the divine mind, we can appreciate, increase, because what we do increases, what we think about increases, and what you don't use atrophies. And that the feminine mind, like Ernest Holmes has said, there's love in the law. And I thought that was interesting, because love isn't just a free-floating thing, consciousness. No, it's a person quality. Even like I call dogs persons and cats persons and trees persons and the mouse people, and it's to bring personalness back into our understanding of who we are. We're not machines. And the divine mind is not a machine. It's not a computer. And who we're connected to and with, of the source of all, we're always connected with. We're all one already, and we're each different. And that's so wonderful to experience the uniqueness. Just when we say every snowflake is different, well, I don't think anybody's seen every snowflake, but that's kind of what it said. But that could be true with all of us as well. And how do we know our uniqueness if we're always thinking and analyzing from memories, from what we've learned, what we've seen, what we've heard, where there's never an original thought, ever, in the fake, in the false? Originality is with you. Therefore, the thing to stop the battle is you have to first notice that you're fighting, and who you're fighting, and how we're told to fight. Fight this, fight that, fight this, fight that, fight this. That keeps it going. How do you win, win in anything? You want to, if you ever noticed in all the gambling places, those are pretty big buildings, monuments to gambling or whatever, to materialism or any of this sort of thing. But it keeps the sides betting. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? Who's going to win? No, we're beyond winning and losing. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a poor fund of knowledge of who we are. And so we believing everything that the mind says that we've been taught to think who we are, you can't think who you are. You're beyond thinking. So what works for me is to practice the presence. There's also a Joel Goldsmith, I remember, like one of his favorite books he wrote, Practice the Presence. And that means being yourself. Be you to the full. That's my work, for you to be beautiful because you are. And that doesn't mean being puffed up. Oh, I'm beautiful, I'm fat. No, that's another label, that's another thought, no. It's what is so great about nature. So I like to go barefooted when I can and tune in and listen, and we always feel good when we're in nature because nobody's judging us. And for a while, we stop judging ourselves. So I would suggest some slow breathing. Do whatever you need to learn how to quiet that mind, but to notice where it's taking you and what you're doing because of what you're thinking. But does that feel right in your center with who you are? And with all the challenges that are all around or being broadcast that we're facing, in a sense, it isn't about thinking about it. It's about being strong in yourself, unshakable. Yes. And not being taken away by the thought. Because when it comes, do you want to go where that thought's taking you? Do you want that? Do you want to believe that? Do you want to accept that? It's just a concept from your mind. So, be in divine mind. Witness. Be quiet, still. Turn off those electronics. Give up the game playing in every aspect of your being. And tune into the paradise. The paradise is interesting. I was talking to some people who live in a place called Paradise, and they said it did start as a casino. There was gambling there, of a paradise. It's very interesting. So life is not a gamble. You are life. And that's really the answer to our questions. Be still and know that I am God, Source. Not me, Terry. My Source. I am part of, one with, and different. That's relationship. Have a relationship with yourself. You owe that to yourself. That's what real self-love is, honoring and being who you are. Now,